if this video is going to go up first or the other video that I filmed recently with my top 5 primers. However, I wanted to do my top 5 eyeshadows that I own. Now, anything I received in the last 30, 60 days, I'm not including in this. Even though they may be my current favorite, I don't think that I've used them long enough to be able to say it's a favorite over all my other eyeshadows. So my Blue Blood, my Blood Sugar, I just went blank right there. Blue Blood, Blood Sugar, my Friendcation, I can't think what other ones I've gotten in the last 2 months or so, but I didn't include any of those. So in my primer video, I started off at number 1 and actually worked downward. This one I'm actually going to do the reverse. I am going to start at my 5th and work up, okay? So my 5th, and I'll be honest, I did not want to include this in this. However, if I'm going to be honest, I have to. So that would be the Nude palette by Huda Beauty. And it does, as I'm sure you've all seen it before, but it does look like this. It has shimmers and pressed glitters. And I do not purchase from this brand anymore. I don't like getting political. I don't like canceling brands. However, there's just been some things that have come about the belief of the owner that I refuse to participate with. So I have 2 Huda Beauty palettes. When they're gone, that's the end. I won't be buying anymore. But I do prefer that I don't support brands that I don't agree with. Not to get off track, but another thing that I started in 2019 is I refuse to purchase a product, now product, not brand, of a brand that releases a product that is not for everyone. So if XYZ brand releases a foundation that not everyone can use. A great example that happened recently was a very, very, very high-end brand. I believe it was Tom Ford, if I'm not mistaken. He released a foundation shades. I think there was 24, if I'm not mistaken. If that was the range. 21 of them were for me in my alabaster skin. 3 were my younger son's range, which is Hispanic, maybe, and light Hispanic at that, because they got half of me. There was nothing that women of color could really use in the end, unless they were light-skinned or if they even had a tan, I don't think women of color could use that brand. So I'm not purchasing that brand. Now, I'm not a Tom Ford fan anyway, so it's not like that was painful for me. But even if it was my favorite brand, if they're not coming out with shades that most people can find their shade on, I'm not purchasing that product. Now, as of right now, I'm not canceling any brands. I'm not doing any of the hate culture that's around now. I am choosing not to buy that product because they were not smart enough, and I'm sorry, in this day and age, it is smart enough and ethical enough to release for everybody. Now, Huda Beauty is canceled for me. She made some really just unacceptable comments, and I just think that she is not about diversity. She would prefer that certain women use hers, and that's it, and I don't support that. So she is one that I canceled completely. But what I will say about this and why I ethically could not leave it out of my 5 top eyeshadows is because this blends like a dream. I have never had a problem with it. I have never had it come out with a bad look. I've never had any issues. So for me, it's literally, I would be lying to you if I put another palette I really in my heart would rank lower in its place. But it is one that I will not repurchase. And I do use because I paid $65 for, but that is how I rank that one. Now that I'm off my soapbox, I'm moving to the next ones. This is the Too Faced chocolate bar. This is the original chocolate bar. It has almost all neutral shades. There is a couple deep in like purpley pink ones, but it is a neutral palette. This was my only palette for many years. Well, my only large palette. I would have little CoverGirls or little like Smashbox ones, but this was my main palette. I pulled it out pretty much 5 days a week for work and a lot of my looks on the weekend as well. Now, this is my replacement. My other one expired, but I definitely think that this is a palette that anybody could use. It has good quality, smells delicious, and it's worth its money. This, I believe, is $39 or $42. Huda was $65. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Huda has a little bit more shades in it, and it does have the pressed shimmers and, you know, glitters and all that. But I just don't think that any palette I want to buy is $65. Never again. My number 3 is Just My Luck. This was kind of a surprise to me. So I think I mentioned in a prior video that I actually bought this palette with the intention of I'd make some green looks. I rarely use this for a green look. I think I've only used it twice for a green look. This actually has the ability to blend with other things. I use some of the darker colors to darken my outer corners sometimes, especially when I'm using all neutrals. It adds just a hint of color. And these 3 middle shimmers can be used with a neutral look easily. I actually think they could be used with other as well, but I only use them with a neutral look. So I was conveniently just in love with this, and that wasn't what I thought I was going to get from it. Now, I will say, part of it is probably my partiality to ColourPop's eyeshadows because I adore the formula. These are fantastic. Definitely not any different than any other ColourPop that you would purchase. And sometimes if you get a palette that is limited edition or a special one, they're not always the exact same formula. I know I found that from Urban Decay. I found that from Tarte. Urban Decay's minis are not the same formula as the bigger ones, in my opinion. They don't last as long. In fact, I had a mini of the Aphrodisiac one, and I would put it on in the morning. It would look fantastic. I would be in love. It would be beautiful. And then that evening, I'd get home and there'd be no eyeshadows on my eyes. And I would say, what happened? I didn't rub my eyes. I didn't, you know, touch it or anything. Where is it at? No glue. It would just evaporate. So my 4th and my 5th are actually in the same exact palette. I do, and I can't say enough about this brand, Adept. If you guys have not seen these, they are amazing. So this is what it looks like. It opens like this, and I can only do one side at a time, so bear with me. One side holds that much, and the other side does have a mirror, and it holds that much. So in this, I'm going to fold these back so I can show both. This is ColourPop Colored Rain. There's a Dose, and maybe that's it. Oh no, there's one Anastasia Beverly Hills too. So this is my 4th, or my 2nd and my 1st favorite palettes. I say it's 2 palettes because if you look, I reorganized these. I used to have an order of shade. So it used to be that all the blues were together, all the reds or oranges or yellows went into like almost like a color wheel is how I organized. Then someone mentioned on Instagram that they organize theirs by looks. So now I did it by like, this is a purple look. This is a purple look. There in the middle is 6 you could do together. You know, this one right here, I don't really think that's really a look, but I think it can be used with ones around it. Green, rose, this goes with those. Pink look, purple look again, blues. And I try to place a transition shade in every one of them. So this is definitely my favorite. Now, Colored Rain, I believe I paid more for than the ColourPop because the ColourPop I did buy your own palette or build your own palette twice. I have those empty ones that came with it too, and I actually have another Adept. When more colors are released, I do plan to buy more if I'm out of my no-buy at that point. But these are my favorite shadows. I like that these are what I put together. I don't have to use them in the quads I set up. I can use one from one side, one from the other side. It doesn't matter. When I'm feeling creative, I like to have options. Now, if I'm fully transparent when I'm feeling creative, I still end up with a neutral look half the time. Maybe with a pop color in my corner. That's about it. But I like to have the option to do it. And these Adept hold so much. It is just unbelievable. I have another Adept that I actually have my ColourPop bronzers, blushes, and highlighters in, and then it has some other Tarte eyeshadows, not eyeshadow, Tarte blushes that I had depotted off of a limited edition and broke 3 out of 5, but it still is awesome that you have that ability. So these are my 5 favorites. So Colored Rain, ColourPop, Just My Luck, Too Faced, and Huda Beauty. I am in love with Jeffree Star's Blood Sugar, for example, right now. I think I used it way too much last week. I didn't use my pan ones enough. However, it looks good every single time. I don't think, however, that having it as short a period as I have, that I can say it's my favorite. Now, if I do this again at the end of 2018 and do my faves video like I did last year, in a 2019. I think I lost a year right there. It probably will be in there if I continue to like it as much as I do now. So what is your favorite eyeshadow palette? Would you post below what your number one, or if you feel list all 5, I would love to hear it. Mine have changed a lot in the last 6 months, I would say. Even in the last 3 months they've changed. I would have picked Chocolate Bar, and probably the nude I would say would probably still be included, but a Tarte would be in their basic brown eyeshadows. There's a plane. What I picked for my top 5 has definitely changed in the last 6 months, even the last 3 months. The Chocolate Bar and the Huda probably would have still been in there, only because they do fit my taste or my style. However, it would have been all neutral, you know, a Tarte neutral palette, or, you know, an Urban Decay. You know, actually, probably not Urban Decay. That would be my favorite. I'm trying to think of some of the neutrals I have. Makeup Revolution, I have an amazing one by them. I think it has 15 shadows. I think I paid $10 for it, maybe 12. But I think that my taste is changing dramatically. First of all, I'm learning to blend better. I never even worked on blending my eyeshadow in the past. Never cared. I would put a color, maybe 2, and I was gone. And now I definitely put more effort into it. And then the other side of this, I've just figured out I like color. I don't know if I like the blue as much. Not sure I'm sold on that one. But I definitely like the green, and I like the olive one in Just My Luck with a neutral palette or neutral eyeshadows. Put that as my shimmer shade, and it looks fantastic every single time. So again, I would love to hear what your favorites are. If you like this video, I do hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will ring the bell for notifications. We try to upload every Thursday and Sunday, and I hope that you will share this with anyone you think would be interested. Thanks, and have a great night.